this to go back to if we're like, wait, I'm still confused. We can go back and look at it. And I can make like a Google Plus page or something that I can post the links to the videos on or something. We'll make it work. Okay. Well, hi, everyone. This is fun. We got like almost an all-girl group.
Yeah.
But, yeah. We'll have to see if Spencer wants to join us next time. Okay, so this assignment was nuts. How did everyone else feel about it?
I felt like I was guessing on most of them. I mean, like I went through it and I hopefully, but like I said, I don't know why. This was a hard week. I mean, like this information, I've already taken the next quiz and it was easy. Like I didn't have a problem with that one at all. So I hope I can be valuable here and make
Yeah.
I was going over it in a doctor's office, so I just wrote notes on a sheet of paper. I struggled with the test on this one too. Part of it was because I feel like the evaluation and the execute are so similar, but they're different. And yeah.
Like I was saying in the little chat thing in the Slack thing, my confusion comes in, where if the breakdown is early on, then what do you put for the rest of it? Because then obviously it doesn't, work anymore. So I felt like some of them were easier than others, but
yeah,
some of them I'm still a little confused on some. Some of them I'm like, okay, I think I got that one, but there's others I'm like, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, why don't we start with just the first question and we can all kind of go through what we thought the first question was and kind of go through the process and see which one we think is like, oh, now that I've heard it from someone else, that really is what it is.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
So, like, do you just want me to tell you what I thought the first one was?
Yeah, just problem one, just what you where you thought the problem lied, and then we can go through the.
So, and sorry if this isn't right, but I felt like they understood. I mean, people know that it's a doorknob, and so their perception is right, but their interpretation of how to use it is wrong. So I put interpretation, but
okay.
That was my understanding as well. That it was interpretation. They understood what it was, what the meaning went, the symbolism of the door, but they couldn't interpret what the doors were meaning.
Okay. What about you?
Oh, sorry.
Is it Brittany?
No, Brittany just said hers. I actually put it was evaluation instead. So, because my thought was that let's see, I'll tell you what I put, and then that maybe make more sense. So I put that. So for the presentation, there wasn't a breakdown because there are door handles present. The perception was no breakdown because the users can see the door handles. My interpretation, I put that there wasn't a breakdown because they knew that the door handles would be used to open the doors, but the breakdown occurred in the evaluation because they couldn't accurately perceive what each specific door handle did.
How it actually was working. I
actually did it differently.
Oh.
I said it was the presentation because if you had a door handle that was just a pull door handle, you'd know you can just pull it. Whereas the fact that the door handle is a turn, it's got that knob, you're automatically going to turn it. Whereas if you had one that you just pull, if you had two different door handles, it would work a lot better and you wouldn't have any confusion. But I don't know. We're all over the place.
Well, I can give my reasoning for what I thought, and if maybe that'll make some sense for at least what I thought. So the reason I went with evaluation instead was because the perception part in the reading, it just says it has nothing to do with mental process. It's a sensory operation. And so I kind of was thinking that, so with the perception, it's basically like they know what to do with a door handle, like, and the perceptions that it's there. Or the interpretation, then it talks about how sorry, I'm actually reading the book on my phone so that I can see what I'm saying. But so for example, it says recognizing that a given rectangle on the screen is meant for input, or that text in a dialogue is a warning message. So they know that the handle is to open the door, but the evaluation process, the reason I got to that is because it says the evaluation phase is the process of the user relating the system information to their interaction with the system or what they're trying to accomplish. So I thought it was evaluation because they knew those handles were to open the door, but they didn't know how to relate that to the type of door. So whether it was just a pull handle or a turn down handle. So that was my thought on evaluation. But I mean, like I said, that could be totally wrong, but just from the reading, that's what I got. That's what I got.
Yeah,
from
no,
that.
I can see that, how the interpretation really is how you evaluated what you perceived. And if there was no problem in how it was perceived, then the interpretation, meaning if you heard a dinging noise in the car but didn't know, you didn't know what it meant, that would be an interpretation. So if there was nothing wrong to, there was nothing to perceive, there wouldn't really be anything to interpret. Is that right?
Sort of, I guess.
Trying to understand it.
I guess. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, I totally understand. I think you're right, actually, because the presentation, it's a doorknob, so it opens it. It may not open it the way you think it opens it, and then perception, kind of the same. I mean, they're all kind of the same, but you're just basically saying the evaluation is because they don't know how to use the system, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
they know how to use the doorknob, but they don't know how to use it with the system that's there in place. That was my thought.
No, I agree.
I can see that. I think that's probably right.
Okay. Number 1 is fixed. Unless, okay, Brittany has to deal with a family emergency. All right, thanks, Brittany. We'll have the recording going so you can go through it later. Good luck. Okay, so problem 1, evaluation. I can definitely see that. Okay, so we'll turn in your step 1.
So can I ask then, so this was where my confusion was. I'm going to look at what I wrote here. So when we're supposed to write something down for every step, what do we write for the rest of those? Like I just wrote, there's no breakdown because, there isn't a goal with the breakdown, then there isn't a goal with intention, but technically there is an issue with specifying the sequence and execution because of the breakdown earlier in the evaluation. So what do we write on those? That's where I was having confusion.
So what I went with was I said, their goal is that the user wants to open the door. That's their goal.
Yeah.
The intention is to use the doorknob to open the door.
Yes.
The sequence was to turn the doorknob because that is what you do to open a door.
Okay.
The user won't know there are 2 different types of doors until he tries to open it.
Okay.
But that's because mine was presentation. And then execution fails when he tries to open the door that won't turn the latch, kind of thing. So you kind of read through it.
Okay.
And say, okay, this will fail because of this, and this will happen because of this. And you kind of go back and support your evaluation. Okay,
well, that's kind of what I did. I just wasn't sure if that was how that was supposed to work or not.
Yeah.
So who are we gonna, does someone have it typed out, so that, mine isn't super good. I can be typing it out. I just didn't know if there was someone who had wanted to turn theirs in actually this week or how that worked.
So this is mine. I just copied it right from the thing. So it's got the pictures and it's got the problem outlined in things for each one. So, if someone wants to send me theirs, I can throw it in place of where mine is.
Yeah.
And just do that. And then put everybody's names up here.
Yeah, yours looks a little nicer than mine. I can show you what mine looks like. And the other thing we could do is, especially if we're doing the video and we want everyone to be on this one, we could, since there are 5 problems, once we talk about it, we each could say, okay, you write it up for problem 1. We could do a Google Doc. Everyone has a problem. They go write it all, and then someone is just responsible for, downloading it actually into Word and putting it up as an actual Word document. That's one idea. Just a thought.
No, that's a great idea. We can do that. Okay, where is, I forgot your last name, Sarah.
Madsen.
Madsen. Okay, well.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's under Poche because that's my maiden name.
That's why I was like, Madsen, that doesn't sound right.
Okay, I was going to show, because mine's a lot less, less detailed than yours is. Sorry, you probably can't even see it. Hold on. Sorry, let me zoom that back in. I just did it like this. Number 1, presentation. I just wrote no breakdown occurs because there are door handles present. Perception, no breakdown occurs because the users can see the door handles. So mine's pretty bare bones. But I can, you know.
Okay. I mean, you can just copy number 1, and I can throw up a Google Doc if we need to, and just throw mine in there, and you can just go put number 1 in place of where the breakdown is.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Okay, I can't remember how to stop sharing my screen.
There's a stop at the top.
Like, why can't I?
It should say stop.
Why am I not seeing it? Like,
you can also go up to the 3 dots. Or no, I'm sorry, on the side of the screen. So on the side of the screen, there should be like a green button.
Yeah, well, I'm like, I know how to share it. Oh, okay, so it did cancel it. Okay, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting the Google Doc and didn't notice.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so what about number 2? Let's start talking about that one while I get this going.
Number 2, I had some confusion on. I mean, I thought I knew what it was, and then I kind of, I don't know. Because what I was trying to do with most of them was to look at whether it was a, so like the Gulf evaluation, whether it's a failure of the user to accurately perceive or interpret the state of the system, or whether it was the inability of the user to do what he wants with the system. So number 2, I was confused on which one it would be.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't even think about the 2 definitions for Gulf of evaluation, Gulf of
execution.
Yeah, I didn't even think of the definitions. That probably would have helped. Like, oh, well, obviously that's going to fall under this one. So then all I have to do is figure out which of the 4 it is on that one.
Yeah, and so that one actually problem 2. So I would like to hear what you guys have to say, because problem number 2, I couldn't determine because I thought, well, I know that there's definitely an inability on his part to know what he wants to do with the system, but I wasn't sure if there was first an issue in the Gulf of evaluation because of a failure on his part to perceive the state of the system. So I don't know.
Yeah, I put an interpretation because, I mean, he was perceiving, his perception was he sees people go up to the water fountain and get water out of it. And that, he just leans up against it to get water. And so he was interpreting it wrong. But that might have also been his intention. It might have been the intention instead of the interpretation, meaning his intention was to lean in and get a drink, but there's more to it than that. So I don't know if it's just in the sequence where he's missing a step. Yeah, I don't know.
See, and because I actually looked at those definitions too, because I can kind of see in it being a little bit of both. Like he didn't really know how the system exactly worked. I mean, because when he leaned against it, it turned on, but he obviously didn't know what he was doing when he was leaning against it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So but then I could see it the other way too, difficulty in making the system do what you want it to do. Like he didn't know, he didn't know how to do it. I put evaluation, but see, that was my problem in the quiz. I kept being like, would they have 2 of evaluation? Or, you know what I'm saying? I can't remember what it was on the quiz, but I kept second guessing myself because I was like, wait, we already have one of those. Did they put 2 of the same ones on there?
Well, on the quiz, I actually got all of them right the first time on the scenario things.
Oh, well, we probably should
though,
because those
mine was the definitions that got me thrown off.
Yeah, mine was the last one of the one about driving the car. That was the only one I missed the first time.
Yeah, but the scenario things I got right. But I actually would agree with you. Wait, so Sarah? No. Okay, I'm like, I gotta scroll over there. Wait, Sarah, make sure I'm calling you that name. I agree either. So my thought was either this, though. It was either evaluation or execution sequence, because I wasn't sure if it was that he was evaluating it right and knew that something had to push against it, and it was, you know, his body that he thought, or if it was, you know, that's where he was messing up, that he didn't realize it was actually like a push bar, you know, push on the sides, or if he did get that, and so then it was the execution sequence, which is how it didn't work how he wanted to, because he wasn't, you know, he wasn't staying, you know, connected to that bar, if that makes sense. So
right, but is it the execution or the sequence? Because you used both words in the same sentence.
So in the Gulf of Execution, sorry, there's the specify sequence and the execution sequence. So if they just had it, yeah. So I meant to say the execution sequence is what I was trying to say. So execution. I just used both words in it, and so I was using.
So the fault isn't in his plan; it's in how he executed it.
Well, that's what I wasn't. I was trying to figure out if it was a difference between because the way I look at it with the two is that one is either a fault of the system or one is a fault of the user. And so, or at least the user not understanding it. And so I wasn't sure.
See, I don't think it's a fault with the system, because the system will do what you want it to if you use it correctly. So I think it's a user, because the user is 2 years old. I mean, how many 2-year-olds do you know know to push the button?
But I think there still is but I think that still, I guess what I mean with the fault of the system is still that, I'm trying to think about it, how I'm explaining.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, of how I'm explaining. I guess it's the part of, I mean, it's still the user, I guess what I mean is, but it's either, the one is the inability of the user to understand the system, and the other is the inability of the user to do what he wants with the system, even though he understands it.
Okay, got it.
So
yes, I mean, I think it would still be in the Gulf of Execution, not in the evaluation, because it's not. I mean, sure, the failure of the user to accurately perceive or interpret the state of the system, but I don't think he's inaccurately perceiving or interpreting the system wrong. I think he's just not getting it to do what he wants it to do. That he knows what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But doesn't know how to get there.
Yeah, I guess for me, I just wasn't sure if it was, you know, with the failure to accurately perceive the system, if it was, the breakdown was that he didn't get, so the reason for him like pushing his body up against that bar is that he didn't, I mean, it doesn't ever say that he knew to push on that bar, and that's why he was doing it. So that's why I wasn't sure if it was evaluation, because he wasn't evaluating that. That's why I'm pressing my body against it, is because this little bar turns the drinking fountain on. It was, and I think, I'm assuming that's a little bit where Sarah got with that too, is that he wasn't certain. And so it was so he wasn't accurately being able to evaluate that. That's why it was turning on when everyone was leaning against it. So then but I don't.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but just when you were talking about it and I was reading through, because I just have, like, for each question, I actually like wrote the definitions for these, the definitions that were used in the quiz, just because I'm like, I need to go through it, like, you know, like through each one. But anyway, when you were saying that, does he really understand the metaphor? Like, is it interpretation? Because does he really understand that pushing, he knows it comes on somehow, but does he really know that to push it is what's making it come on? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, sorry, because I just totally changed my answer a little bit, but like, I mean, anyway, I don't really know that he knows how to use it. But I guess that would be evaluation. He doesn't know the system at a high level. I mean, that's why I originally went with that. So these are super confusing to me.
What if problem 2, what if we check with the other two? Because problem 2 to me was actually the most confusing one. Because I wasn't quite sure on that one, but so we also could wait on that one maybe and talk to the other 2 people in our group, see what their thoughts are.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that could be sent back and forth on Slack or however, you know, to see what their thoughts are. Maybe we could talk about the other ones. Because I don't know, honestly, that one. And that's why I even went back and forth, that I thought, well, maybe it is, you know, a Gulf of Execution, because he wasn't able. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. These are super hard, and like I second guess myself all the time. But anyway, I think that's a good plan, just to see what other people, what Spencer and Miranda, Miranda, right?
Brittany. I'm Miranda.
Sorry.
Nope, it's all good.
And
That's why I was trying to like, which
Brittany.
one's which?
I know. Sorry. Brittany. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's good. And we can think about it more too. I mean, you know, see what.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one. What did you
Okay,
guys?
I've got the Google Doc open, by the way. I sent the link inside.
Okay.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said I've got the Google Doc ready.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Okay, so the third one was the 5-year-old that was trying to open the door to the car, which
I guess
went
this
with-
is actually a little bit like the drinking fountain one.
Yeah, no, because I went with interpretation again, but it could also be his intention of how to use the door, so I wasn't sure which one.
Hmm.
But at the
I don't
same
think
time,
it would be intention
it's
because
almost the same as the first one with the doorknobs, because
yeah, I don't think it would be intention because I think I don't know, maybe I'm not understanding them quite right, but for me intention, let me look at what I wrote, it's the user's goal expressed in the context of the system. So his intention, he knows that he needs to use the handle in order to get in the car. So for me, the breakdown doesn't become intention because his intention is to use the handle, but he just doesn't know how to use it properly. So mine in that one was actually the specify sequence. So what I said is because, let's see what I wrote here. The breakdown occurs here because although Jimmy knows he needs to use the handle to get in, he doesn't know that he must first push in the button. And so he does the wrong thing. And so, but
there's a button. I thought it was
yeah. No, it's
it.
one of those like push buttons and then pull down. Right? Isn't that what kind
It's
of one
kind
it
of like
is?
the old-fashioned-y, like I think you might even just push the button and pull it.
Oh, is it just push the button to pull open? I thought it was push and pull down on the hand. I don't know.
I don't know either. But either way, I mean, he doesn't know to push the button. You know what I mean? Like, or he is not strong enough. Either way.
Okay. So is that the user doesn't know, or is that meaning does that lie in the evaluation phase somewhere, or is that because I could see it being in the sequence or even in the execution of him trying to execute the plan. But it probably lies in the plan first because he has to plan everything out, and if his plan is wrong, the execution is going to go wrong. So I could see it being the sequence.
Yeah, well, that's one of those confusing ones to me too. So actually, what did you say? Interpretation the first time, or did you say intention?
I said interpretation the first time.
Oh, okay. So actually, that was the other. I'm sorry. That was the other one I was thinking of. That it could have either. This is where it's the same confusion, I guess, because if it's based in the evaluation that he's interpreting it wrong, that he's interpreting he just has to pull down on the handle when he first has to push the button, or is it because? Yeah. So I would say it's either interpretation or specify sequence. Because what does it say about the specify sequence? I don't know. I pulled things from inside the little paragraphs because it made more sense to me.
The question I think we need to ask ourselves is if it's a goal of evaluation or a goal of execution. Meaning, is it the failure of the user to accurately perceive or interpret the state of the system, or is it the inability of the user to do what he wishes to do with the system?
Good question. That's my confusion.
Because it's not necessarily the state of the system. It's he knows how to open the door. He just doesn't know the sequence of how to open the door. He doesn't know you have to push the button and then pull, or push the button and turn down, or the sequence of events.
And I'm going to say it's more that he doesn't know how. I mean, it says he grabs the handle, so he knows he needs to do it, but I don't think he knows to push the button.
So you're saying it is interpretation?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually, now that I'm looking, so the user must have the ability to understand the components of the interface, and he understands the handle, but he doesn't understand that the button would open it.
Okay, so it is an
Right?
interface.
So it is interpretation. So you were right the first time, and then yeah.
Goodness, people are
Right? I don't know.
Because I went with interpretation first, thinking that it was because he didn't know how to use it, how to open it. But then, I don't know. Maybe that is right, because it's the state of the system, meaning it goes along with presentation, not with the goal of what he's trying to accomplish. It goes with the presentation of it, that how it looks, not necessarily how it works.
So it's a failure on his part to accurately interpret the state of the system, right?
Right.
So, okay, so then it definitely would be the gulf of evaluation. So that would make the most sense then. So he doesn't have the ability. So it says he must have the ability to understand the components, and he doesn't.
Okay.
Because he doesn't understand the button.
I mean, yeah. And whoever types this one up, I mean, I think we just need to put that. Like, the error is that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I think it even, because I think these really, you could do it. I think there could be more than one.
As long as you explain it well enough.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong and I have no idea. Obviously, the quiz was just one answer, but like, if you're, I mean, you know, someone could interpret the reading differently, and maybe he's just not strong enough to push the button. Maybe he knows that you have to push the button, but it doesn't say that. So
it doesn't say that, yeah.
No, it just says that he at first he grabs it with his right hand like his dad, and that doesn't work. So he grabs it with two hands, and after a few moments he gives up and waits for his father.
Yeah. So I think it is. I think you're right. I think it is interpretation. But what do you think, Sarah, at this point?
I think that sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Sarah, did you put interpretation first? Was that your answer?
I did, but like I said,
I did too. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, and I didn't, because I'm the one that put but you know, I had that it was the third step, just the wrong thing. So
you were swaying me. You were swaying me
too.
Oh goodness. I think the teacher could be swayed anyway, as long as, because I mean, you put up a good argument. I was swayed. I was ready to change my answer.
No, it was after I said it that I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense, because he didn't know. It wasn't that it wasn't working for him. It's that he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, he didn't know how to do it. So it definitely is. Yeah, definitely is that.
Okay. Is that kind of, though, the same with the water fountain? I mean, he doesn't really know.
And that's what, that's what I was sort of thinking with the, I don't know.
That's why I put interpretation with the water fountain too, was that he didn't know that's why what he had to do. He was perceiving it, or the interpreting the perception wrong. That it wasn't just that you leaned on it; it was that you had to push.
It was that you have to actually push the button.
Mm-hmm. And so it was his perception, but it wasn't really his perception. It was the interpretation of that perception. Yeah. So he was seeing the water come out as he leaned against it, like he saw everybody else do. But once he went up on his tippy toes and lost that pressure, boom, stopped. And so he's sitting here going, what happened? My interpretation, like I perceived this, but my interpretation of that is wrong.
Yeah, maybe. I would say number two for sure is either interpretation or evaluation, but I'm just honestly not totally sure, because I don't know. I guess I was confused by I guess it didn't really explain if he knew that by leaning on it pushed that thing in, or if it was just leaning on it. And so I don't know. Yeah. So I'm good with whatever you guys decide. I don't know.
I think it wasn't that he knew that you leaned on it to get it. I think it was by experimentation that he leaned on it and all of a sudden it came out. Because in the thing it says he walked up to the fountain and leans against it. Sure enough, water comes out.
Well, it does say that he saw people leaning on it, didn't it?
Yeah, it does say that.
Yeah, they lean against the fountain and water comes out.
So
maybe you are right, because evaluation is defined as the process of the user relating system information to their interaction with the system or with what they're trying to accomplish. So I think it could be evaluation, that It's a much more complex problem. It relates to the mental mode of the system state, the user's intention, and the belief on how things should work. So the belief that all he had to do was lean against it, but then not being able to, when he got on his tippy toes, to still lean against it. Like he knew he needed to lean against it. That was his intention.
Yeah.
But it didn't continue. So I could see evaluation actually being.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those two, but I honestly don't know which one.
Yeah, rather than attempt. Okay, so it says.
So
if the gulf of evaluation cannot be attributed to presentation, perception, or interpretation, it's probably evaluation. Evaluation errors is highly situation specific, usually involves clarifying the interface so that a few opportunities for the users to misconstruct what is going on. So, I mean, it's not that, I don't know now, because this is talking about the interface. Usually it involves clarifying the interface. But it's not that he didn't understand the interface. He just didn't understand that you had to push the button. That there was a button to push.
Well,
that you didn't
he understood. I mean, it says that he understands that he has to push the button because he said they lean. He has seen adults like his dad lean against
lean on it.
So I'm
right, but lean, not push.
As we're actually talking about it, is it more? I'm changing my answer again. But is it more in the gulf of execution? He can't execute it. He knows you have to lean on it, but he can't get it to work.
Can't get the system to do what he wants it to do.
But that's why I'm confused, because that's what I'm like, do we go back? That one I think is so confusing, because do we go to that part that, yeah, he knows what he wants to do, he just can't get it to work? Or do we go to that he's not realizing it's an actual button to push? That's where.
That's the hard part.
True. And maybe that's one of those things that we just have to explain it really well in our, when we write it up.
Okay, so what are we thinking it's between? It's between the interpretation or the execution?
I don't know.
Or is it the evaluation or the execution?
How do I puzzle?
Yeah, you can go do one.
I want you to help me.
I guess it really just depends on how we interpret it. Does he really realize you have to lean against it?
How we interpret it. There you go. It's interpretation.
I'm thinking when I use one of those, I don't lean on it. I actually do use my hand to push the button.
Yeah.
Right. You just lean over it. And so I think the 2-year-old just saw people lean.
So then I do kind of go back to that part about interpretation, that when it's the process of the user making sense of the input that was perceived. So
he perceived people leaning over, so he leaned over.
Mm-hmm. So then it says this is about the user knowing. It's about the user knowing what the input means in isolation of the rest of the system.
Yeah, so his interpretation, what he saw, was people leaning over to get a drink. Necessarily leaning into it as well, but I mean, your hand is kind of hidden as you lean over. It's like right there by your stomach to push the button. So it's hard to see.
Okay, I think it might be interpretation. Okay, when I'm reading this other paragraph, as with perception errors, interpretation errors are easy to detect. Show a group of users the various metaphors, symbols, and terms that are to be used in the interface. If the users misidentify these elements, then interpretation errors are likely to follow. Okay, so I'm thinking if you lined up a few people in front of that drinking fountain, some of them are going to know to push that button. If he doesn't know there's even a button there to be pushed, then it's interpretation.
Yeah.
I'm confusing myself at this point. So
yeah, I think it is interpretation, but it really could probably go any way.
Well, let's just go back to getting Brittany and Spencer's take on that one, maybe.
Okay.
And then see if we can, or if we can make sense of it, or maybe we all write that one up and see whose is the most persuasive.
I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and rewrite mine.
This might be a tree.
I need to I just kind of, didn't write like a whole lot for mine. So if I'm having to it's like a persuasion paper. I'm going to have to go back and write those down.
Goodness. Okay, so Okay. Number 4. Because we decided number 3 was interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of making notes in the Google Doc so that we kind of remember what we decided, and then whoever wants to take that one. Okay, so number 4. Goodness, this is going to get muddy. Okay. Because I thought it was presentation. Because there's way too many knobs, you can't understand it. But there was also the one under, I think, execution where it was too much for...
Yeah, I think presentation is more simple than that it's...
Because you know that that's supposed to turn the water on.
Yeah. I know, that's why I wondered if maybe it was not presentation. That's why I'm second guessing myself after we've talked a lot. Because, I mean, honestly, if you were to clean up the user base, it would clear up a lot. But at the same time, it could be somewhere else.
I did this one more on the Gulf of Execution, but I really don't know. Like, honestly, these are, I just kind of guessed. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so what did you put?
I put specify sequence because she has the goal and the intention, but she can't, the user's plan for interacting with the system. But maybe I guess it would be execute sequence. I don't know.
I think it's execute, and the reason why I think is because she does have a plan to do it. She knows to do the hot and the cold, but it's just not working when there's too much hot or too much cold, and so I ended up putting the execution.
Well, I mean, looking at the picture, how do you know which one's hot and which one's cold? That picture has like 4 knobs. I don't know.
I guess I just assumed the left was the left was the hot and the right was the cold, but that's just, I don't know.
Oh, look at this. Turning the 2 come out, but it's crazy hot. Faucets, and now it's ice cold. So it's the incrementation. So it is evaluation or execution, because it mentions in most situations. Oh no, up here. It was often precision errors are the results of timing require, it's precision. It's moving it just this much to get it to be not as hot, or this much to get it not as cold. That she's having the precision.
That sounds good to me.
So it is evaluation.
It's evaluation?
And you misread the thing, how she executed it, because it's trying to get the precision. Getting it hot and cold. She knows how to do it. The presentation is not the problem.
No, okay.
There aren't that many knobs. The perception, she knows, you feel, so you can change it. You feel the water, it's cold, so she can interpret that right and evaluates which one's hot and cold and which to use. The goal is to take a shower. Her intention is to turn the knobs to turn on the shower, and she begins by turning the hot or the cold. She knows which sequence to use. It's the incrementation or how she executes the plan in order to get that to actually come right. Is that right?
I think so. I think that sounds good. So it's the execute.
Execute, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Not evaluate.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I thought you said evaluation. So I'm like,
my mouth sometimes doesn't.
No, they're both E's. It shouldn't be both E's.
I know.
So that's what I would say. It's the it's the execution of it.
Okay. Yeah. I think we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah, perfect. Execution. Yep. I will make a note in the Google Doc, and I can write that one up since I totally just explained that one. Even though it wasn't what I had written down. Execution. Okay, thank you, Matthew, for putting that puzzle piece on my face. Can you wait? I'll help you in just a second. Okay, so let me just double check. We were going to have Miranda write up the first one because she had that down pat in her thing. For the very first one with the door handles, because you explained that really well. 2, we're going to ask people. 3 can either be me or Sarah, whoever wants to write that one up, about the interpretation.
I mean, I can write it up if you, because you said you wanted to write the one about
the shower. Okay. Miranda or Sarah. Okay. Oh, we just have one more. Woohoo! All right. The car seat base. This one, I'm not sure if I did it right because I assumed things that probably were not right in assuming.
I kind of thought it just went along with number 4, honestly. She knows what she wants to do. It's just not working.
That's what I went with, that maybe it was her groceries were in the way, that maybe she just needed to flip-flop how she was executing it. And
I think it was probably the stress of, when you got like too much going on and overstimulus, and so she just couldn't get it. Like, honestly, so for me, it just kind of was
the execution.
I mean,
it was
that's
just,
what I chose too. I didn't have a good, I didn't write anything down like why, but that's the one I thought that it was.
Is this the spot where this goes?
Yeah, because I just...
Is this the spot?
No, that's not the spot where that one goes. We'll figure it out in a minute, bud.
This way it goes.
Yeah. So I agree. I think that was execution because she knew what she wanted to do. It had worked. All the other times she tried to do it. It just wasn't working right then. So I think it was just either the stress or the something. Okay.
I totally agree. And she knew it wasn't the evaluation because she already had done that a million times. She knew how to do it. So it was just.
Okay. So execution. Who wants to write that one up? Who was it that was explaining? Was that Miranda?
Yeah. Do you want me to do that, or do we want to give that to, or give one of them to?
It depends on if Brittany. Maybe we'll give Brittany the hard one. The water fountain. But then Spencer didn't do one, and I would hate to have you do 2.
So should we have? Well, if it's all on a Google Doc, why don't we give them each one to do, but then we can all double check it and make sure that that's what we're good with. Like, let's just have sort of a time frame that, like, hey, everyone get yours done by this time. We'll all look at it and make sure we are good with that. And no?
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me. Okay, so maybe we'll give that one to, or maybe we'll give Spencer the water fountain. I don't know. He's a software engineer, isn't he? Maybe he can figure that one out. Okay, so we'll do this one. Because, I mean, Spencer might just turn this in by himself because he's not here for the meeting. So he might turn it in himself. So we'll see if Brittany agrees with our card seat.
We can check with him and see, because if I were him, I'd rather just do one.
Yeah, do one. He can watch our recording and see if he
just do the one.
I guess if he doesn't agree with us, maybe, I don't know, but
yeah.
So I think we can check with him, and then we'll I think it's easy enough to go from there. And if I need to write up a second one, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Okay, Nikki girl.
So do we want a time when we, or like everyone have it done by, I mean, I probably will just go in and do it.
Yeah.
Right after we've talked, but do we want a time? And if.
Yeah, how about we have it be that everybody has to have theirs in by either like tonight at like 10 or tomorrow by like 10 a.m. So like tomorrow by 10 in the morning because it's due that night. So if we could have it, everybody have theirs written up by then we can start working on the other problem set and meet Thursday for that one. Because I didn't get that one done yet.
I don't either. And what is our plan? What do you, I mean, obviously, there's people that aren't here, but what have you guys been thinking? Like, what should we do? I mean, are we going to meet twice every week? Are we going to, like, how?
Honestly, this took a long time just to even go through. So I think it honestly would be better to meet twice. Hey, guys, seriously. Nikki,
But then that also is a lot of time that we're meeting when we've got
right
other things to do.
But at the same time, do we want to end up mixing the two together? What if we accidentally, because if we do two different readings and then kind of mix the terms together, wouldn't that make it harder?
Well, the other one is totally, it's about variables, and it is not, it's straightforward. I haven't tried the work, but I did the quiz already, and it was pretty straightforward. So, I mean, I don't think that we'll have as hard of a time maybe with the next. I mean, like I said, I haven't looked at the questions that we have to answer enough. Like, I kind of read through them, but I don't think it'll be as hard as this one.
Do we have to specifically meet or just work on it together?
I
don't know that. I
think it said we needed to meet,
Okay.
but meeting can take several different forms. Nikki, come on, girl. Sit here. Sit right there. You're okay. Here, you can finish Caitlin's fruit next. Okay, you don't have to.
Yeah, I just wondered. I wasn't sure. Like, I mean, I guess for now the best thing is just to meet. But I think we should come up with a time, same time that we meet, so that we don't. I know I just had a group my last semester that it was so last minute that there was almost only 2 of us at every meeting because we were finally like, okay, well, can you meet now? Can you meet? And so yeah, we just will need to come up with an actual.
No, and I agree. This week for me is difficult because I have a wedding for my sister that I'm trying to help with and things, and so it was like, okay, let's meet now, and then if we're meeting Thursday, it has to be like,
oh no, this works great. No, this worked great for me this week anyways. I just meant, like, do we want to try and nail a time down?
No, and I think we should. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna every week because I'm going down to my family's house Thursday, so the time, well, if we set a time Thursday, I'll be there for the second one, and then maybe we can do either just Tuesdays and everybody can work on getting the reading for the first one done and the problem sets done so that we can start working on the other ones and be able to do our meetings on Tuesdays, or maybe even do our meetings on Wednesdays so that we're working on both problem sets. I don't know. Okay, Nikki girl, it's right in my ear and I'm pretty sure it's right in everybody else's ear.
So, what time would work for you then on Thursday this week?
So Thursday, I have my sister's endowment at 2:40, so I'd need to do probably before that. So I could probably do like we did today.
Want to do 11 again?
And I'd be at my family's house, and so I'd have babysitters, so we wouldn't have them climbing all over me. So
11 works fine for me. And then and hopefully next time there will be more people. I mean, like Spencer and too. So, and then maybe we can get it worked out where we only have to meet once a week, but maybe we'll meet on Thursday.
Yeah, no, I think it would be good if we could figure out how to meet only once a week. So
Yeah.
that we're not constantly and go every which way.
But I think definitely if we only meet once a week, we're gonna have to, like have both sets done when we meet. You know what I'm saying? Both problems.
Yeah.
We can kind of run through them and then just set that Google Doc up and see.
Yeah, and I can have the Google Doc set up each week. I don't mind going in and throwing that all together each week and making it, okay, here's problem set 1, here's problem set 2, everyone. I mean, do we want to have everyone just throw their answers in the Google Doc? Or do we want everyone to put their answers somewhere else? And then we just come together and put the Google Doc together as we meet. Okay. We like so-and-so's idea, we're going to throw hers in. We like so-and-so's idea, we're going to throw hers in here. And so we keep the Google Doc blank, but then everyone writes up their own to throw in. Does that work? Or does that make sense?
That makes sense. And I think, I mean, I don't really have I think either way. I just think it's I think it'll be trial and error, honestly. See what works and what doesn't, so we can try different things, and hopefully we can nail something down pretty quick that will work.
Yeah. And do you want to meet Tuesdays at 11 every week, or do you want to meet on a Wednesday to where it's kind of between the two?
My worry is just if we met on Wednesday, would we get the first problem set? Would we all be ready and done in time to turn it in Wednesday? So maybe this week, let's just do Thursday at 11, and then we'll see how that goes and see. I don't know.
I would think at least I would think Tuesday would be better. I mean, we would have to stay ahead, though, obviously, you know.
Yeah, I would think.
But it might make our weekends easier, because if we're working a week ahead, to where it's like Friday, Saturday, we're working on getting the first quiz done and the first reading and the first problem set, and then come Monday, we're working on the second one, and then Tuesday we meet and we're already done for the week.
Yeah.
And then
the only thing about if we're only meeting once a week, that might, if it's possible, that might make more sense, is depending on what everyone's Monday workloads are like. I don't know what your guys's are like. I mean, my Monday workload is fairly intense. And I would have time to do this other times, you know, to be ready on Tuesday with both things. But depending on what the other people's, and I don't know what your guys's are like, if we met on a Tuesday afternoon, you know, all my stuff's due at Monday, you know, midnight or 11:59. So if I had all Tuesday morning to do, you know, both, if I didn't get around to one of them until then, and we did Tuesday afternoon, maybe just seeing, I don't know what your guys's are like. Maybe if we checked with Spencer and checked with Brittany to see what theirs are like. I'm totally fine with, I can make it work either way. I just, you know, depending on your guys's workloads and all that, you know, that would be better.
Wednesday would be fine to me, as long as people, we would just have to get it done right after the meeting. You know what I mean? So we can turn it. I actually think Wednesday would be fine, honestly. I was thinking Tuesday just a little bit more time, but I think we accomplished, you know, like in this meeting pretty good. Like we could all go in right now and write ours. Obviously, you know, it probably really would be fine to me.
Right. Okay.
But we can see what everyone, you know, we'll just put it on Slack or whatever and see what everyone thinks. Brittany.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's go for Tuesday afternoon for right now. Let's see how everyone does. If everyone needs more time, then we can say, okay, let's try Wednesday. And then if we like that, we'll just stick with Wednesdays for the rest of the week. Let's use next week as a trial period of, okay, let's see if we can get everything done by Tuesday. If not, we'll do Wednesday morning and call it good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my Mondays, this is my only class that has Monday due dates. My other class has Wednesday and Saturday due dates. So I should have enough time to get everything done. And if we had this done by Tuesday or whatever, then I could use the time to work on my Wednesday homeworks. But I honestly work on my Wednesday homeworks on Monday anyway, so it works out.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So just to go over really fast, Miranda, you do the first problem. We're going to see if Spencer will do the second problem. If he doesn't answer, I can write something up. The door handle will have Sarah write up. The shower control I'll write up. And then the car seat base, we'll see if Brittany can write up. If she doesn't answer, then maybe we'll have Miranda do it.
Well, it looks like she had written a few things. She said, I can do one. I'm just having to deal with funeral stuff. And then she said, I'm good with 11. So she must be dealing with stuff while maybe listening to us. And that's why she's on mute here. So that's
okay. I'm seeing this now. Okay.
Yeah. So
perfect. Okay. So 11 on Thursday.
Thursday.
And okay. And I'll put in just who's doing which one in Slack, just so Spencer can see it and Brittany can see it. And the Google Doc link is in there, so we should be good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Sorry this meeting went long.
Oh, no, you're good.
We'll try and keep them shorter.
Okay.
Hopefully they won't be quite so heart or head aching.
Yeah, hopefully.
Crazy.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. See you all Thursday.
Okay, see ya.
Okay, bye.